Hey everybody, it's Christine. Long time no see. I've been busy doing live videos and baking and all the things, but I wanted to get a fresh video out to y'all. So I am working with the Flavors of the Month kit from the ScrapRoom, and this part is Echo Park. And I thought the colors were really nice for highlighting my son and I's college visit travels. So the collection is actually travel themed, and the colors just tied really nicely with both what he was wearing as well as the college colors, and so I decided to roll with that. So you can see I've got this blue map paper right now, and I am just trimming out a piece of that. I am just kind of cutting along some of the more major lines, and I'm going to use either a couple pieces of this or just one piece on this green patterned paper. And it just jumped out at me as something that would be easy to cut and make the layout look unique. And you can see, I really like how that piece ended up fitting. And additionally, I am using a sketch from the ScrapRoom, and it has a horizontal stripe on it. And so this kind of starts me in that direction. I mean, obviously it's not a perfect stripe, etc., but kind of gets me thinking in that direction. So I did have a hard time narrowing down which pictures to use, so I decided to use just two of, really, I picked the ones that I thought he looked the best in and his smile looked the most genuine. And I also picked one from visiting a school in Illinois and one from visiting a school in Wisconsin, because that's the two that we visited. Obviously, he did not visit a college at Lambeau Stadium, but that was one of our stops on the trip, so I decided to use that. Although the sketch calls for a bigger piece here to back the photos, I opted for a smaller piece with that maroon paper because I already had that blue kind of worked into the background, and I didn't want to cover too much of that up and make it get lost. So I went with a smaller one, and I went with that maroon specifically because one of the college colors was maroon. So it worked perfectly for that. So this trip was also in winter, and so these muted earth tones were really perfect for that as well. Additionally, I didn't want to use the 4x6 photos, again, for the same reason. I wanted the whole thing to come together without hiding too much of the background. And so I did trim both of my pictures down to be 3.5 by 5. Felt a little bit frustrated with having to trim down the Lambeau Field one, but at the same time, it's still obvious that it's Lambeau Field, and I have the full-size picture to put in that he can have, to hang on his bulletin board or whatever. So it's really not a big deal. So I also wanted to work some yellow, or this golden yellow color, in there as well. But there was no pattern paper with strictly just it. So I went ahead and cut out some of these stripes, focusing on that golden paper. And I'm using it just to really frame my picture, and thinking that I will create a visual triangle. I don't actually end up doing that in the end, but that was kind of what I was thinking at first. But I think you can also kind of start to guess that the design of my layout is really starting to work in a diagonal fashion, because of the placement of that blue patterned paper. And so I'm going to roll with that. If you're familiar with my channel, you know that a lot of times I do a visual triangle where I've got 3 points that include usually my title and a couple of cluster embellishing areas that bring the eye in and focus on the photo. But every once in a while, I like to diverge from that. And like today, I am going in a diagonal approach. And it's kind of funny because then I did a layout, another layout with this same sketch the next day, and it ended up doing the same thing. I ended up going diagonal. So if you want to check out everything that I've done with this sketch this month, you can head over to my Instagram channel at Scrapping with Christine, and you will see how all of those worked in. I'll be loading the last one on the last day of the month, so keep an eye over there, follow along, and you'll be able to catch all of them. So as I'm approaching this, I want to get some of those bigger pieces in there from the sticker set. I'm going to use some of the chipboard. One thing I'm trying to be careful about is that I'm noticing that a lot of times when I have these page kits or when I have sets of embellishments, I might use like one piece from the chipboard. And then I have used a piece and it feels wasteful, I guess is what I'm saying. And so I'm trying to really think before I pull off a sticker or pull out a piece of chipboard. So that way, if I don't use the whole thing, I can easily pair it with some other paper and pass it on to a friend to use, or not just have like this one thing missing from it. And I don't know, I'm trying to be conscious of that. I always like to be able to share with friends things that I haven't found a use for in like the last year. And so that's an important part for me. But it feels weird to be like, here, friend, here's this, but it's missing 3 pieces out of 20. So, you know, trying to be thoughtful in my sharing and whatever. So, carrying on, you can see I'm adding in stickers, and I did end up using several pieces of the chipboard as well. My title is a sticker, and I used several of the big suitcases, and then I'm going to work in a lot of those all around. Really ultimately framing everything within that blue diagonal line. You do see also that I added in that brown border piece on the left-hand side just to bring a little bit of balance to the whole thing, so it's not all super heavy on the top right and bottom left side. And that definitely does help to just make it look a lot more balanced. Really simple way. With Echo Park collections, their borders are never a full 12 inches. They're always like, I guess 11 or 11 and a half, I don't even know. But they're never 12 inches. So that's why I didn't go all the way top to bottom, but it's fine. I think it still looks good as it is. So with that said, I am really beginning to wrap things up. I'm going to add a few little last minute touches and we will call it good. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Hopefully it will not be neglected quite as long this time, and we will see you again next time.